we have a former Beckett Grading employee and current employee of Leaf Trading Card. What's the guy's name?
Joe Clemons.
Joe Clemons. Okay, so this guy, Joe Clemons, used to work for Beckett. Now he works for Leaf. People have discovered that this guy is like, he literally gets BGS Pristines and BGS Black Labels at a rate nobody out there is claiming that they come even close to.
Leaf Trading Cards employee Joel Clemons. He statistically received so many black labels that this dude is the black label king of all time.
He had 81. So they just found a submission. This is what kind of cracked it off kind of today. Is somebody found a 81 card submission that he hit all pristine 10s or all black labels. 81 cards in a row.
I'm going to bring up one of your favorite topics, and we didn't talk about this, but I want to know. These are two guys that I've met. I've met one, and I've kind of had some good contact with because they were local to me. But Ryan and Colin Tennards, and you guys always have a wonderful back and forth online that gives us plenty to talk about, and certain things there. You guys kind of both have gone back and forth through with each other, and if you wanted I just want to kind of give you an open forum the open floor on those guys if you had anything to comment.
They've got a business, and their business is clickbait. You're on YouTube right now. Half of that website is full of clickbait. They tell you watch Jessica Alba bathe, and you click on it, and it's like Rosie O'Donnell tanning. It's not what you think it's going to be, and it's just that's what it is. It's clickbait.
For a fact that Brian really shut up very quickly when I asked him directly, what does Joe do for your company? He answered every single other question I had except for what Joe did for the company.
Here we have it, a beautifully executed article on blowout cards by Kia, just documentation for days. So they say, the purpose of this thread is to expose what I believe to be ongoing illegitimate grading at Beckett Grading Services. You may have seen posts and other threads about how Joe Clemons, a former BGS employee and current Leaf employee, accounts for a significant chunk of the black labels, about 25% when I first checked, and BGS 10s on eBay. As this thread has grown, a lot of questions about Leaf trading cards Brian Gray have emerged as well. Big picture, according to TerraPeak data from the past year, Joe's eBay account sales are comprised of 196 black labels, 539 BGS 10s, and 651 BGS 9.5s. So overall, Joe appears to be getting a majority black labels and BGS 10s from BGS. So I don't know if you've ever seen a grading return where someone gets a black label. They're very shocked. It doesn't happen all the time. In fact, it looks like it happens 0.8% of the time. So these numbers ain't excusable. I don't care how good your eyes are and how much of an expert you are. No one does this.
I'll let you guys get your little color crayons, and I'm sure Brian Gray has his lawyer listening right now. I'll let his lawyer get out his little color crayon and connect the dots between Leaf, between Joe Clemons, and BGS, and how that all connects together.
Okay, I want to get back to a little bit of the grading thing. So there was some stuff that was talked about over the last year about Joe Clemons, who's one of your employees, and Black Label Joe, or some people I think called him was like Laser Eyes or Eagle Eye. There we go. And getting so many Black Label. There had, to get that many pristines, and we don't see as many, and one person's getting so much. I think it obviously opens up people's eyes and like, hey, what's going on here? And I want to see if you could address that at all, or if he has, because he worked at Beckett and now he's getting these really good grades. it leads to some assumptions there about what's happening behind the scenes.
Sure. I can first speak to Leaf. The only thing we get really Black Labels on is Valiant. And we have 30,000 cards that are being picked through to find the best 6,000. And that's how we have 6,000 that make 9 5s and 10s. There aren't that many. There's some Black Labels. It's not crazy. But again, metal cards are the easiest thing to hit. And if you remember, we're looking through our entire print run to pick out the very best cards to submit. So that part's, I think that's really easy to understand. I don't think that takes a lot of crazy thinking to understand. Now, in terms of Joe's stuff, I will say that I don't know a lot about his business.
We all know Joe's greatest skill in life. Let's be real. Okay? He doesn't have, 20/20 vision when it comes to trading cards. Let's be real, guys. Let's be real. His greatest asset to this hobby is that he lives near Dallas, Texas. He used to work for BGS, and so they're willing to throw him a couple 10s and Black Labels whenever they can. And I'm sure Brian Gray uses this to his advantage whenever he wants to. And Brian, I know you're listening. You can have your lawyer draw something up.
Crazy thinking to understand. Now, in terms of Joe's stuff, I will say that I don't know a lot about his business, except I think he's pretty smart, and that there are certain issues that are incredibly easy to grade. Things like 2012 Prism Baseball. Now, that Trout's become a huge card all of a sudden, but for a long time, those cards are worthless. You could BGS 10 almost every single Bo Jackson and George Brett, and you're like, who's going to grade a 30-cent Prism George Brett? Well, when you get $50 for a 10, and you buy it in a quarter box, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there's anything unusual about that if you're really smart. Now, that
Brian Gray, the quote-unquote self-anointed CEO of a trading card company that doesn't have a license. That website looked like it was set up, about 20 years ago when Leaf was a real company. He doesn't have an email list. And when he put his podcast out there, he didn't have a page for it on his website. I'll let you guys connect the dots since he claims he has his lawyers listening to us, but we know for a fact that the FBI was on the Joe Clemons page.
And you're like, who's going to grade a 30-cent Prism George Brett? Well, when you get $50 for a 10, and you buy it in a quarter box, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there's anything unusual about that if you're really smart. Now, with that being said, one thing I can say, we don't talk about lawsuits we're involved in, but I will tell you on this topic because it's off topic. I know that in our lawsuit with Upper Deck, Joe Clemons was deposed by Upper Deck, and they asked him about his Beckett account and treatment, just because, again, when you're in a lawsuit, you dig for things even that have nothing to do with the price of apples. I'm sure people asked him what I had for breakfast that morning when I was deposed, but they asked him, and he said, I get no special treatment from Beckett, under oath. Then they deposed Jeremy Murray, the head of Beckett, and under oath, Jeremy Murray at Beckett said, Joe Clemons gets no special treatment from Beckett in terms of grades. These are under oath. So now, if both guys lied under oath, light them up. I'm telling
I do want to make our podcast listeners aware of an event that happened right before all this stuff kicked off. Ryan and myself were included in the documents in the Leaf versus Upper Deck case, or Upper Deck versus Leaf. I'm not sure which way it goes. But I woke up one morning and people on Twitter are talking about how Ryan and I have been mentioned in a court document along with two major executives in all of sports. We're being requested as witnesses by Upper Deck, and Leaf filed a motion to block our testimony in the Upper Deck versus Leaf case. So we are being...
Jeremy Murray at Beckett said, Joe Clemons gets no special treatment from Beckett in terms of grades. These are under oath. So now, if both guys lied under oath, light them up. I'm telling you, there's people want to believe because they sent 20 cards in and didn't even look at them before they graded them, and they got 7 8s, 3 8 5s, and 10 9s, and they're like, "What the heck? I never get 9 5s." There are people who tell me they never get 9 5s.
Yeah, but
looking for cards. I mean, for real.
Here's the thing: a lot of people historically have lied under oath. So I mean that's weak. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to challenge the guy's integrity necessarily, but the optics are extremely bad because if you're grading card after card, nobody hits 21 on that many consecutive hands of blackjack. You just don't.
Well, the problem is we don't know how they enter them in their system.
He gets preferential grades from BGS. Good God, there were several people, just a couple, Brett and Becca, I think, was on Twitter saying that this was a fact. Okay? This is a fact. The more cards you send in to Beckett, the more cards you send to PSA, guess what? The better they treat you, the better grades you get. When they only have guys spending a few minutes on each card, yeah, of course, they're going to take care of people better than others.
Hits 21 on that many consecutive hands of blackjack. You just don't.
Well, the problem is we don't know how they enter them in their system. We don't know that. We don't know how many cards he submitted. Did he submit 10 only? We don't know that. We don't know if he submitted 3,000 cards, 8,000 cards, 20,000 cards, and when they process them in batches, and maybe black is a different color label, so they did all those together. We don't know any of that information. And I believe the guy on the blowout board that looked at Joe's account, he saw everything. He saw all the lower grade stuff too. He just didn't talk about that because that's not as much fun, is it?
Joe Clemons let somebody else go into his account and publish his data, but he didn't let him publish his pristines that he got. He said, you can only post the black labels I got. He wouldn't allow his pristine rate to be released, but they did figure that he was hitting 14% black labels on the orders that they could see. But we didn't know his pristine rate. That's what was funny, is we only knew at that time his black label rate. His pristine rate literally must be like 90. I swear to fucking God.
And I believe the guy on the blowout board that looked at Joe's account, he saw everything. He saw all the lower grade stuff too. He just didn't talk about that because that's not as much fun, is it? I mean, really. You guys don't ever come out and say, "Oh, Brian, no controversy this week. What a great guy." It's only fun when there's something fun.
Hey, whoa.
You keep Twitter entertaining for us all.
Microphone, I hide behind, paraphrasing my phrases. No, I'll tell you guys straight up. Brian Gray's a clown. He's broke. His products suck.